Hello and welcome to Investment Insight. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Now let's break down what's happening in the markets today in a clear and simple way. So, what if I told you that the richest person in your zip code isn't, a tech CEO or some Wall Street hedge fund manager?
Right, which is what everyone assumes.
Exactly. We all assume that. But it's actually probably the guy who owns the local fleet of garbage trucks.
Yeah, the waste management guy. It's true.
Right. Because when you picture an incredibly wealthy person in America today, your mind almost automatically goes to a very specific image. You probably think of like a Silicon Valley billionaire wearing a hoodie, launching rockets, or a banker in a tailored suit.
And honestly, the media constantly reinforces that exact image. I mean, the high-profile founders and the executives of these massive publicly traded companies, they completely dominate the daily news cycle.
Totally. They're on every magazine cover.
Right, so you are culturally conditioned to associate immense wealth with immense fame. But it's just an illusion.
It is an illusion. Because if you look past the headlines, there is this secret map of American wealth. According to some truly fascinating recent research by economists Owen Zidar and Zwick, the real rich people in America aren't who you might think. They're what the researchers call everywhere millionaires.
The everywhere millionaires. I love that term.
It's a great term, right? True American wealth is actually hidden in plain sight. It's deeply rooted in the ownership of incredibly boring, local, private businesses.
Boring, but incredibly lucrative. Based on a presentation from the London School of Economics, the numbers on this illusion of wealth are just staggering.
Yeah, lay the numbers on us because they blew my mind.
Okay, so for every single famous public company CEO you see making headlines, there are over 1,000 quiet, private business owners out there with a net worth of over $10 million.
Wait, over 1,000?
Over 1,000. A 1,000-to-1 ratio of completely invisible millionaires to the highly visible ones.
1,000 to 1. I mean, that completely changes how you have to look at the economy.
It really does. The media focuses on the one because, well, they have a public stock ticker and relentless PR teams pushing their name out there.
Right. They want to be famous.
Exactly. But the thousands of private owners operate in total privacy, which entirely skews your perception of how wealth is actually generated.
Yeah.
If you look at data from Princeton University researchers, they analyzed wealth composition in 2016, and it tells a very clear story.
What did they find?
So for the top 1% of Americans, their average wealth was about $10.77 million. But for the top 0.1%, it jumped to over $50.26 million.
Wow. 50 million.
Right. And here is the kicker. The vast majority of that wealth did not come from a massive corporate salary. It came from owning what are called pass-through businesses and corporate equity.
And see, that shifts the entire paradigm, right? From earning a paycheck to actually owning something.
Exactly. It's a fundamental shift in how you view money.
Like, think of it this way. Imagine a highly paid, brilliant orthopedic surgeon, and then compare them to the person who actually owns the medical clinic down the street.
All right, the clinic owner.
Yeah, so the surgeon is making a fantastic salary, maybe $1 million a year, which is great. But at the end of the day, they're still just renting out their time for a paycheck. I mean, if they break their hand skiing or something and they stop doing surgery, the money stops completely.
The income goes to zero, yeah.
Exactly. But the clinic owner, they own the physical building, the patient list, the brand, and all those incredibly expensive MRI machines. One person is making a great living, but the other person is building a massive self-sustaining wealth engine.
And that constraint, the time constraint, is exactly why wealth explodes through equity rather than salary. I mean, the surgeon is capped by the limited hours in a day. You can only do so many surgeries.
Right, there's a hard ceiling there.
But the clinic owner is compounding value around the clock. The entire focus of the everywhere millionaire isn't about, skipping a morning coffee to aggressively save a tiny portion of a paycheck.
Oh man, the skipped coffee advice. I hear that everywhere.
Right. It's nonsense at this scale. It is entirely about the ownership and control of an asset that generates cash, even when the owner isn't physically in the building turning a wrench or performing a procedure.
Okay, so if ownership is the real engine of wealth, that begs the question, what exactly are these people owning? Because it's clearly not flashy artificial intelligence startups.
Not at all. These businesses are aggressively unglamorous.
Right. The data points to stuff like car dealerships, dental practices, HVAC, Heating and air conditioning, plumbing companies, parking lots, and specialized local services.
Yeah, waste management is a huge one. And those unglamorous sectors generate immense cash flow for a few structural reasons. First, let's just look at the tax code.
Taxes, okay. Let's get into it.
The Princeton data specifically highlights pass-through businesses. This structure provides a massive mathematical advantage for the owner.
Because in a normal corporation, you get taxed twice.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. In a standard, large public corporation like a C Corp, the company makes a profit and pays corporate income taxes. Then, it distributes the remaining money to shareholders as dividends. And those shareholders pay taxes on that money again on their personal tax returns.
Oh, double taxation.
Right. It's double taxation, which just takes a massive bite out of your compound growth over time.
But with a pass-through business like an LLC or an S Corp, which a lot of these local businesses are, the business itself doesn't actually pay corporate income tax at all.
None.
The profits just, pass through directly to the owner's personal tax return, meaning the money is only taxed once. When you own a business generating $3 million in cash flow, skipping that entire layer of corporate taxation accelerates your personal wealth accumulation tremendously.
It's a huge tailwind. But it's not just the tax code doing the heavy lifting here. It's the sheer volume of money moving through these boring sectors every single day.
People underestimate this so much.
They really do. Recent analysis shows that the total cash flow generated by everyday medical and professional services, like just all the local dental offices across the country, actually rivals or even dwarfs the flashy billion-dollar revenues of major sports leagues.
Wait, really? Like bigger than the NFL?
Yes, bigger than the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball combined.
That is insane. It sounds almost impossible until you break down the mechanics of daily life. Like, think about the frequency of the transaction. You might buy an NFL ticket once a year, right? Or perhaps never.
Right, it's a luxury expense.
But every single person in your town needs their teeth cleaned twice a year. They need their toilet fixed immediately when a pipe bursts, and they absolutely need their car repaired to get to work. These services are essential, they're recurring, and they are highly resistant to economic downturns.
And on top of being essential, those services often operate within specialized local monopolies.
Oh, the local monopolies are fascinating. Let's use a local car dealership to explain how that works, because it's not just a person selling you a sedan.
Right, that's just the front door.
Yeah, think of a local car dealership like this layered cake or a financial spider web. Selling the actual car is just how they catch you. The real money is in the silk holding you there.
The service center.
Exactly. They have the service center in the back, giving them a near monopoly on your car's maintenance if you want to keep the exclusive manufacturer warranty valid. Then they have the finance department, writing your auto loan, taking a cut of the interest. They sell you the extended insurance policies.
It's a whole ecosystem.
Once you buy the car, you are locked into their incredibly profitable ecosystem for the next 5 to 7 years. And on top of that, they usually have an exclusive franchise agreement, meaning no one else can legally sell that exact brand of car within a 50-mile radius.
You've just described a powerful local moat.
A local moat. I like that.
Yeah, so in the tech world, moats are usually network effects, right? Like a platform like social media becomes more valuable the more people use it. But a local plumber, an accountant, or a car dealer, they rely on a completely different kind of moat. Deep local trust and high customer switching costs.
Because it's a hassle to switch.
Exactly. I mean, if you have an accountant who knows your family's complex finances inside and out, you aren't going to switch to a complete stranger just to save $50 on tax prep.
No way. The risk is too high.
Right. And that creates incredibly sticky repeat demand. Owning 100% of a local company with a strong moat, making $2 million a year in profit, creates vastly more personal net worth than owning a microscopic fraction of a massive public tech company.
Well, it sounds incredibly straightforward when you put it like that. Find a boring business, build a moat, and capture the local market. But let's do a reality check here.
Always a good idea.
Because looking at the reality on the ground right now, in May 2026, the current economy presents a very complicated picture for these business owners.
It really does. Though, to be fair, the foundation of the Everywhere Millionaire is actually expanding rapidly right now.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, according to recent reporting by Axios, Americans filed about 470,000 new business applications per month in 2025.
Wow, almost 500,000 a month.
Yep, that is 66% higher than pre-pandemic levels. The entrepreneurial spirit under the current Trump administration is definitely thriving as more people try to take control of their own financial destinies.
Mm.
I think a lot of people are just tired of corporate layoffs and they're wanting to become owners.
Yeah, that makes total sense. People want control, but the daily reality of running those businesses is under severe pressure right now.
Absolutely. The macro environment is tough.
Yeah, the National Federation of Independent Business, the NFIB, they released data for April 2026 showing small business optimism sitting at 95.9. Now, the 52-year average for that index is 98.0, meaning optimism is noticeably below historical norms right now.
Right, because costs are surging across the board.
Exactly. 30% of business owners reported having to raise their prices. And data from the Bank of America Institute shows that small business profitability just dropped 1.3%, which marks the biggest drop in 2 years, and a huge driver for that margin compression. Gas expenses shot up 31% year over year.
And that gas spike is brutal. Because gas prices are up 31%, a local plumbing company's overhead skyrockets just to keep their fleet of trucks on the road.
Right, the trucks don't run on good vibes.
Exactly. But because consumer confidence is a bit shaky, that same plumber is terrified to raise the price of fixing a broken pipe. They fear the homeowner will just, watch an internet tutorial and try to fix it themselves to save money.
Oh man, the DIY risk?
Yeah. And that specific gap, rapidly rising operating costs combined with frozen consumer prices, is exactly why profitability just saw its biggest drop in 2 years.
Right, so if the overhead is eating all the profits, the wealth machine starts breaking down. A local business owner dealing with inflation, rising energy costs, and labor shortages, they aren't just quietly collecting checks on a beach somewhere. They are fighting daily fires just to keep their margins from evaporating entirely.
Which is why the formula for building wealth has evolved because of those very pressures. In 2026, the formula is no longer just own a business.
What is it now?
The absolute requirement now is own a business with pricing power.
Pricing power, meaning your ability to raise your prices to match your rising costs without losing your customer base.
Exactly.
Let's look at the math on that, just to give a clear example. If a specialized HVAC company with a strong local moat raises its emergency service fee by 5% during a massive summer heat wave, that entire 5% drops straight to their bottom line profit.
Right, because the customer has no choice.
Exactly. They have to pay to get their air conditioning fixed. But if a local burger restaurant tries to raise menu prices by 5% to cover their rising beef costs, families might just decide it's too expensive and cook at home instead.
Yeah. The restaurant loses volume immediately.
And their margins are just crushed. Without pricing power, inflation will destroy a small business.
It really will. But if pricing power is the ultimate shield against inflation, that actually explains a massive financial shift happening right now. Wall Street has recognized that these boring, cash-flowing businesses with pricing power are incredibly resilient assets.
Oh, here we go. The Wall Street invasion.
Yeah, massive financial institutions are moving aggressively out of the big cities and onto Main Street to buy them up.
It is the rapid financialization of Main Street. I mean, according to a recent survey by Citizens Financial, mid-market mergers and acquisitions are absolutely booming in 2026. Private equity executive confidence for making deals jumped from 48% in the first quarter all the way to 86% in the fourth quarter.
It's a massive jump in confidence.
It's huge. Private equity firms, or PE firms, they are just swimming in capital right now, and they are deploying what is called a roll-up strategy.
Ah, the roll-up. This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, explain how a roll-up works for someone who might not know.
Sure. So a roll-up is when a massive Wall Street firm comes into a regional market and buys up, say, 20 different local dental practices, or maybe 15 different veterinary clinics, or a dozen HVAC companies.
Just buying up the whole town?
Pretty much. They buy them individually, slap a single corporate brand on all of them, centralize the accounting and human resources to strip out all those redundant overhead costs, and then they sell that new combined mega company for a massive profit.
And the reason they make a massive profit isn't just because they saved a few bucks on accountants, right? It's because of how business valuation actually works mechanically. In the business world, a company is usually valued at a multiple of its yearly profit. So if a single local vet clinic makes $100,000 in profit, a regular person buying it might pay 3 times that amount. So a $300,000 purchase price, that's a 3x multiple.
Right, that's standard for a small standalone business.
Yeah.
But Wall Street values scale and stability. So if a private equity firm bundles 20 of those local clinics together into a corporate giant generating $2 million in profit, the stock market or a larger institutional buyer might pay 15 times that profit.
Wow. A 15x multiple.
Yeah, because that combined entity is seen as much less risky than one standalone clinic. They bought it at a 3x multiple, combined them, and sold it at a 15x multiple. That is the magic of the roll-up.
Okay, but here's where I have to push back a little. If Wall Street is driving up those multiples from 3x to 10x or 15x, that creates a massive barrier to entry.
It absolutely does.
If these massive private equity firms are aggressively bidding up the prices of all the local plumbing, veterinary, and dental shops across the country, it seems like the golden age of buying a cheap local cash machine is over for the average person. Is the strategy dead for the newcomer, or is it just shifting?
It's definitely shifting. But it creates a severe double-edged sword in the current market. On one side, if you are a baby boomer who has owned a roofing company for 30 years, you are looking at the greatest exit opportunity in economic history.
Oh, for sure. Time to cash in.
Right. Private equity showing up with a premium check to buy you out. But on the other side, it heavily distorts the entry price for newcomers. What used to cost 3 times earnings is now significantly more expensive.
And when you pay a much higher premium to buy a business, your expected return on that investment automatically plummets. Plus, if you have to borrow money at today's higher interest rates to meet that inflated purchase price, your risk profile becomes incredibly dangerous.
Extremely dangerous.
Yeah, because if the local economy slows down even slightly, you might not generate enough cash flow to cover those massive loan payments.
Exactly. So the question becomes, how does a regular person actually apply the lessons of the everywhere millionaires to their own life when the landscape is this competitive?
Right. What's the actionable takeaway here?
The primary takeaway is a fundamental mindset shift about the source of wealth. True wealth requires equity. You need to own a piece of a cash-flowing asset rather than solely relying on renting your time out for a salary.
Even with Wall Street in the mix.
Even with Wall Street.
Mm.
Because while they are making it harder, buying an existing business is still a viable path for an individual.
Yeah, and many regular people use specialized small business administration loans, SBA loans, which actually allow you to buy a business with a much smaller down payment.
SBA loans are a great tool.
And often they use what's called seller financing, right? Where
Yeah.
the retiring owner actually acts as the bank, letting the buyer pay them back slowly out of the business's own profits.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
So you don't always have to compete directly with Wall Street if you can find a retiring owner who cares about the legacy of their business and wants to pass it to a real person in the community who will take care of their employees.
That's a great point. The human element still matters to a lot of these founders. And, even if you don't want to physically run a local business, which is completely understandable because it is grueling work, you can apply this exact same framework to your normal stock portfolio.
Oh, I like that. How so?
Well, instead of chasing the next flashy, highly speculative tech stock that everyone on the internet is hyping up, look for the public versions of these boring businesses.
Right.
Filter your investments for small and mid-cap companies with strong, steady cash flow, local geographic moats, high customer retention, and that absolutely crucial pricing power we talked about. Look for the public waste management companies or the regional industrial distributors.
Applying the framework to public equities is an excellent strategy because it avoids the massive concentrated risks involved in direct business ownership. It is vital to understand that being an everywhere millionaire is absolutely not passive income.
Oh, it is the furthest thing from passive.
Right. You might see influencers online talking about, buying a laundromat or a car wash and then just sitting on a beach while the money rolls in automatically. That is a dangerous myth.
It's a complete myth.
Right.
When you own a small business, your entire net worth is tied up in one single hyper-local economy.
All your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. If the major manufacturing plant in your town shuts down and people lose their jobs, your specialized plumbing business is going to suffer immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you are the one dealing with employees quitting without notice, navigating complex local tax regulations, and driving out to fix a broken commercial compressor at 2 in the morning.
Yet nobody talks about the 2 a.m. emergency calls on those influencer videos.
No, they definitely leave that part out.
But with a stock portfolio, if a local recession hits or if the market drops, it is painful, sure, but you have liquidity. You can sell a stock in 3 seconds with the click of a button. You cannot sell a highly specialized accounting firm in 3 seconds. If you own the physical business, you are locked in, and you have to navigate the storm yourself.
Which requires a very specific type of resilience. But at the end of the day, true, sustainable generational wealth is found where there is controllable, repeatable cash flow. It's
Yeah.
found in the unglamorous necessities of everyday life. The people who control those necessities, who truly understand pricing power and local moats, they're the ones quietly accumulating the real fortunes in this country, far, far away from the television camera.
That is perfectly said. So, next time you drive around your town, I want you to try a little thought experiment. Look past the big corporate retail chains and the flashy
It's stuff
billboards.
that usually grabs your attention.
Right. Look at the local roofing company warehouse instead, or the specialized accounting firm in that unassuming office park, or the industrial parts distributor on the edge of town. Ask yourself, who owns that quiet cash machine? And more importantly, how can you start building your own slice of equity instead of just trading your time for a paycheck? Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button.